Paraffin fires claim 2 lives as the big freeze continues across the country. The price of petrol, diesel and paraffin will go up at midnight. Burdett, good evening. Our top story this evening, and the big freeze continues across South Africa. There have been tragic consequences for families just trying to stay warm. 2 deaths, 1 woman in Manenberg, and also a family in Imizamo here to informal settlement in Hout Bay in Cape Town is devastated after losing their 6-month-old baby in a shack fire. Now, the risk of fire has, of course, increased sharply with the cold weather conditions. Artinasi was in Hout Bay today.
Residents picking up the pieces after they lost their homes in shack fires. But for one family, the blaze was fatal. A 6-month-old baby was killed by the flames while in her cot.
Well, the father said he grabbed the toddler to run out of the house that was already engulfed. When he came back, he remembered that the baby is in a bed. He wanted to come in. He couldn't because the flames were already escalating. And now the other residents were grabbing the father because they could see that the father is going to die.
Residents complain the city of Cape Town has provided no assistance with emergency shelter or other services. Many of them say they've lost all their belongings. The city of Cape Town says no emergency shelters were activated as those affected found shelter with family and friends. It says it's in the process of providing residents with fire kits to rebuild their shelters. Artinasi, Hout Bay.
In Gauteng, 2 shack fires destroyed homes in parts of the province. Slindele Masikane reports.
This is all that's left after a fire spread through this informal settlement. Many have been left with nothing. A total of 40 shacks caught fire in several townships as residents tried to keep warm. Mother of 2, Xolile Zwane, says she was woken up by the smell of smoke.
Asize mhlawumbe ngenye indawo because of le space lesi sincane and ihlangahlangene, so mhlawumbe mayengazama ngenye indawo ukuthi sithole ezinye indawo nangama blankets ke nempahla because you don't have even anything.
Zwane says it wasn't a paraffin stove that started the fire, but someone who decided to light a coal brazier in their home to stay warm. She says her family used this narrow passage to escape the flames, passing children over the wall to get them to safety. Johannesburg Emergency Management Services says water supply in informal settlements remains a challenge. Disaster management services have now been activated.
Most of them, you find that in this environment, there's no water supply. So we have to bring in water tankers every time when we respond to incidents. We are trying to make sure that the people who are around most of the time who are not working, we try and train them as community emergency response teams so that they can be able to do something before we arrive.
Those who've lost their homes are now trying to salvage anything they can that survived the blaze and rebuild their homes. Emergency services will remain on high alert until the chill subsides later this week. Slindele Masikane in Alexandra.
Well, fill your tanks before midnight if you want to avoid the hike. The fuel price will increase for a 4th consecutive month at midnight tonight. Petrol and diesel going up by 26 cents a litre, illuminating paraffin by 22 cents a litre. While our weak rand is partly to blame, the heavy fuel levies we pay in South Africa add an extra burden, as the Automobile Association's Leighton Beard explains.
When it comes to the taxes, you're absolutely correct. 5.30 of every litre of petrol is paid towards indirect taxes in the form of the general fuel levy and the road accident fund levy. Now, there are arguments that suggest that maybe we should make these taxes higher and then do away with other taxes. But unfortunately, in the current realistic situation that we're in, these taxes comprise a big chunk of the amount of money that we pay every month for petrol. And when we look at petrol being around 15 Rand 80 or 16 Rand a litre, it is going to hurt all consumers. We understand that. But we are specifically concerned because we think it's going to be hurting the poorest of the poor as well.
Well, the Inkatha Freedom Party is one of a number of political parties saying something has to change regarding our fuel costs. The IFP MP Nkululeko Hlengwa says they plan to call on the Speaker of the National Assembly to table a debate on those fuel levies which push up the price of our petrol.
Let's suspend these taxes as a cushion, but at the same time look at other possibilities where money can come from. So that's where the Speaker comes in, writing to it to say, in terms of the Parliamentary Rules, Rule 131, to say let's schedule a debate of urgent public importance to enable, public representatives to actually articulate the conditions of our people, but secondly, and most importantly, on how government is going to cushion and deal with this crisis. The urgent steps need to be taken, and we cannot dilly-dally around it. Just tonight, it's going to be shooting through the roof at 16 rands. Next month is another fuel increase, so it's no longer sustainable on the consumer.
Let's move now to Mpumalanga and the latest on the countrywide public hearings on land reform. The committee was in Ermelo, where a complaint about the hearings was raised. Malungelo Boy reports.
Public hearings on whether to change the constitution to allow for land expropriation without compensation continue to attract hundreds of people in Mpumalanga. Some of those against the amendment say the hearings are flawed as venues were not communicated timeously.
If needed be, we will challenge this process in court. At the end of the speech, we will present written submissions for the committee from our members. The people of South Africa is being misled that all land was stolen. This is not true. It was ascertained in a few different methods, including purchase agreements with the local traditional leaders of the time.
Some of the people advocating for the amendment of Section 25 shared personal stories of being mistreated by landowners and managers. Others came hoping the committee could help with stalled land claims.
It was taken by Mr. Sanders, the governor of the day by that time, and he took it to Peter Marisbeck, and it was administrated, not under Maputa land. My hope for coming here is that the present government, which is the ANC, is going to expropriate land. By expropriating land, taking it back to the central government, and thereafter to be given to the rightful owners of the land.
The Mpumalanga hearings move to Middelburg on Wednesday. Malungelo Boy, Ermelo.
Hearings in the Free State city of Welkom today as well, and here's a selection of some of the public comments made.
I stand here to indicate that I support amending Section 25, which says and land expropriation without compensation. I would like to indicate that when the English colonizer came to this country, they did not have any land, and there are no records indicating that there were land purchases.
What worries me is the whole issue has tended to take a racial lines, and it's polarizing the society. It's a very sensitive issue because when you want to listen to the commentary on the radio and read newspapers, it has divided us between black and white people.
Exploration without compensation has the potential to destroy the economy. Look at countries like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Chairperson, why do you think people of Zimbabwe want to live in South Africa?
We are not against the white people, but we want the land must be given to the black people. The dignity of the black people will not be complete till the land comes back.
Still ahead on eNews, we'll go to Durban, where a man accused of raping his stepdaughter over 900 times continued his bail application in the Verulam Family Court today. To Durban now, and the man accused of raping his stepdaughter continued his bail application today. Now, the state believes it has a case of ongoing abuse and that the accused may have raped his stepdaughter over 900 times in 5 years. But the 43-year-old man says it's all a lie. Our reporter Desin Thathia was at the Verulam Family Court today.
This man is facing 10 charges relating to the sexual abuse of his 10-year-old stepdaughter. During his bail application, the state claimed he may have raped her as many as 900 times between 2013 and 2018, after the death of her mother. But in an affidavit read out by his lawyer, the man denies this.
I did not rape or sexually assault my child in any way whatsoever. Nor did I groom or expose my child to any sexual act.
Investigating officer Nivaj Lakshmanarayan testified on behalf of the state to oppose bail. He says medical examinations have confirmed the child was raped, and interviews suggest she is ready for trial. Lakshmanarayan told the court the man has no fixed address, no permanent employment, and no identity document, making him a flight risk. Despite the community outrage and the state's safety concerns, the accused says he wants to be released on 2,000 rand bail. It emerged in court the accused has 2 previous convictions for assault, and a protection order was granted to an ex-girlfriend after he allegedly abused and threatened to kill her. The case returns to court on Thursday. Desan Tathia, Verulam in Durban.
The Democratic Alliance wants Leonard Max to resign from the party. The former Western Cape Police Commissioner and Community Safety MEC has been appointed as Special Advisor to Police Minister Bheki Cele. He's on a 12-month contract to fight gangsterism and farm killings and ensure better policing on the Cape Flats. He's resigned as a member of the provincial legislature, but not from the DA itself. Leonard Max doesn't think it's a problem, but the DA is not happy.
If he claims to be the member of the DA, surely he should have taken his leadership into confidence about that, because there is such a big decision. But secondly, I mean, everything he said yesterday, he effectively disowned the DA and took a posture and spoke a language that is more ANC than the DA.
I'm a DA member, and as explained, there's nothing wrong in my view. And whether there will be a conflict of interest, I can't see. We didn't have conflict of interest with Vusi Pikoli per se, because I'm not in the political line of politics. I'm a political appointment as well, but focus on the administration of government.
More trouble now for the Northwest Province. Their Public Works Department has been ordered to pay up for its failed contractor development program, Vukupile. Now, some of the 65 contractors who believe their 3-year contract with the department was unlawfully ended lodged a complaint with the Public Protector in October 2016. Michael Apple takes up the story.
It's widely acknowledged that the Public Works Department's Vukupile Contractor Development Program is a great initiative, if properly funded and implemented. This didn't happen in the Northwest, and the Public Protector subpoenaed government officials as part of an alternative dispute resolution. The Northwest Public Works MEC says her department is committed to Vukupile contractors who are out of pocket and were failed when the 2013 program collapsed. It's all smiles then from the Vukupile contractors, with the settlement agreement between themselves and the department looming. It's cautious optimism, says the group spokesperson.
In a nutshell, we're very happy. We're pleased that from here now, at least, we're now speaking to the powers, people who actually take decisions.
By Friday, the Public Protector wants all the paperwork and the figures from both parties regarding how much each contractor was paid and is still owed for work done.
I'm glad that today we finally resolved this matter, and I'm committing myself 24/7 to make sure that by the 11th we have a document which we can sign. At least they are paid. And again, my biggest concern, which I was trying to convince them, let's make sure that you are put in a position which you should have been 5 years ago.
The Public Protector says that should the department fail to comply with the settlement agreement, a full investigation into the Northwest Vukupile program will be launched. Michael Apple, Rustenburg in the Northwest.
Let's recap your top stories. Fires lit to stay warm claim 2 lives in Cape Town as the big freeze continues across the country tonight. Now the price of petrol, diesel and paraffin going up at midnight. Finally, for all those fans that find watching their team at the World Cup too stressful, there is a possible solution. A pet food company is offering a calming canine alternative fixture. Now, they're going to be live streaming a match between 2 litters of puppies on their Facebook page tonight. A study by the British Medical Journal found that blood pressure and heart rate levels increase significantly when watching a stressful soccer match. So, doctors suggest using visual distractions such as a puppy match to tackle the stress. That's your news. Good night.